exactly how.
Okay, so let me explain you how what's happening a fleet through something that maybe it's not rocket science to make it start. Maybe it is. I wanted to show you a video. You think you can run it?
For us tonight with the chance of the storm.
Only learning about all of this right now.
What you just seen is the summary of my life in 3 minutes, and let me explain you how. So what I have experienced when I started co-founding Fleet, now it's been a couple of years, is the awareness that we are in the middle of one of the biggest revolutions on Earth. And it's not simply like impacting space, but it's impacting everyone's life. We are really going through a revolution that is changing the way we operate. And let me try to explain how I felt when I decided to co-found Fleet and what was the urgency, okay, that I saw in this revolution that was happening. There are a lot of talks about these things, but I am passionate about these things very much. And this is why I co-founded a startup. Startup is a hell of a lot of work. When you do it because you believe in some stuff. And you hear about these things all the time. And people are trying to put in place a lot of things. But guess what? Space is one channel to make this thing changing. Food waste is huge. And it's huge in a way that you don't even understand how big it is. We waste 60% of our food in the supply chain. 60% is a big number. It's a number that we cannot afford to keep like this anymore. We waste it just because a lot of issues. We cannot track it. We don't know where it goes. There is, the climate change type of issue. We all know these things. Are we doing enough? I don't think we are doing enough. There is these capabilities of changing the world from space that actually can have a gigantic impact. You know, one of the big issues that I've realized that make this speech very complicated, that we don't really know what things are happening in food wastage of climate change because we do not measure them. There is a lot of inefficiency in which agri-tech is done. I mean, this is a photo of entire forests get destroyed in Asia just to get some land for agri-tech. And this is a reality that we all know and read about it, but do we act on it? We do anything? No, because it's just so distant from us. We don't see these things. We don't measure these things. So we think they don't impact us, but they do. And this is the kind of things, that make my life kind of interesting, because then I realized something, okay, something that you need to be well aware of, that we are in a revolution that is called the fourth industrial revolution, okay, and this is happening for the reason of the things I've just showed you. There are gigantic issues in the world. There are billions of people gonna come, live with us in this world, and the world is going through the fourth industrial revolution. When I got passionate about this topic, I started looking into the other industrial revolution, just to have a bit of an awareness of what it was all about, The first one happened when actually the world was really inefficient. Because people couldn't move from place to place. There was a lot of disease. There is not a lot of connection. And mechanization really started changing the way people operate. It was a slow revolution. People living in the middle of that revolution didn't realize what's actually happening, but changed the industry forever. That was another one that was just follow that one. It was mass production, right? We all know these things. People that were in the middle of mass production, they didn't realize what's happening. Just few of them, the smart one. And they actually got a big advantage of realizing that they were in the middle of industrial revolution, because what happened in mass production was huge. And all the industry changed. And people became really rich, and jobs changed. And then there was this. This is the one we have lived, in our lives so far. It's the internet for people. I'm 34 right now. Remember, I had my first phone when I was 15. So most probably it's been 20 years. So it's been 20 years of revolution that brought internet in our houses, in our hands, in our work, and we're seeing happening. And we didn't have any idea, 15 years old, when I was 15 years old, that realistically I would have an iPhone that would have been my entire freaking life. My everything in one iPhone. It's incredible. We didn't know that, and now it's normal. It's called the third industrial revolution. It's been huge. It's changed everything that happened to us, okay? In the middle of the world we're living right now, most probably 3 years ago, without you not knowing, probably, this is happening. A fleet, we call it digital fusion. So it's the internet for people, not anymore. It's the internet for things. So every little thing that is surrounded, just look around, every single thing you see around you will be connected on the net. I'm not talking about computer, I'm talking about things. And this is a revolution that is going as fast as none before. And this is a revolution that is happening because of the things I just showed you. Food waste, overpopulation, climate change, inefficiency, disaster. We need to measure things, and things are gonna come online with such a speed that you're not even gonna realize it. I've got a 5-year-old, she's amazing, her name is Katerina. And Katerina thinks, okay, she really believes that she's gonna have a car that she's gonna drive when she's 16. And she keeps asking me when I'm gonna get a driver's license. She's not probably gonna get a driver's license. It's gonna be a self-driving car by the time she's 16. And she keeps asking me where she's gonna have an iPhone. And she's not gonna have an iPhone probably in 10 years, because I'm not gonna give her an iPhone when she's in primary school. She's not gonna have an iPhone because Facebook and everyone says we are not gonna have an iPhone anymore. In 5 to 7 years, maybe 10. It's gonna go so fast. This is the biggest industrial revolution on earth. Every single thing's online. They're talking about 75 billion things online. And we have something like a couple of billion people online. So it's a big change, okay? And this is what I'm passionate about. A hyper-connected world. I don't think you cannot even grasp it. You cannot even understand what I'm talking about. It's really painful, but it's gonna happen. It's the idea that everything is data-driven. It's already data-driven, but you don't see this coming. It's gonna be huge. It's the idea, that everything is connected. I can talk about your house. Your Fitbit, or your fridge, your coffee machine. You hear these stories and they make you laugh. You think like, what is Alexa? What is Google Home? I don't even know how to use it. You will see. But it's just not that. It's industry. Everything will be connected, and it creates an enormous amount of efficiency. And this is Internet of Things. When everything goes so small that everywhere you are, you got a little chip. Then now it's gonna be most probably on a watch or on a device or something like that. I went on J-Card just in the city to buy something, and the person working there had a chip in his hand to do payments. And that's just something that maybe you connect to. So there is one big issue, that the world is a gigantic place. And when you actually connect people are in cities, and they are in towns, and easy to connect them. But things goes all over the place. When you got a self-driving car moving from Adelaide to Perth, you don't have internet. When you got a big ship moving from Rotterdam to Hong Kong, how do you measure things? How do you do that? Because there is no internet available out there. 90% of the world is totally disconnected. It's all that white. And forget about the oceans. They are totally unconnected. Do we understand that this revolution is not going to happen? So a couple of years ago, I realized how lucky I was to be in the middle of the biggest industrial revolution of all and having the chance to create an internet system for it. That's pretty cool. This is what I did. Okay? And this gigantic trend is coming with something that Patty told you, that is, we call it all space. It's very naughty because, like, they're pretty cool, but we call ourselves new space. This is a gigantically Boeing satellite. Just to give you a little bit of kind of understanding, NBN satellites is as big as that, and it's $600 million to build, it's $600 million to launch. You cross fingers and nothing's going to happen in the rocket, and there you go, okay? This is Centauri 1. It's a little satellite called a nanosatellite. It's a 3-unit satellite that is as big as a shoebox. A fleet will build 2, and we are launching 2, and this is super high-tech. So if you have watched the big movie, like, Hidden Figures, the beautiful movie about those women at NASA, one thing that really touched me there is that at a certain point when, these women were doing everything by hand, they buy a computer. There is an IBM computer. It's huge. It doesn't fit in the door. They have to destroy the doors, right? Okay. All that computer they actually managed to fit in their room has got less capabilities than your iPhone. Now, the one you're just sitting in front of you. So these satellites are a similar concept. This is what's happening in space. We are getting to a point that more satellites are much stronger. And we don't use one big one, but we use a little one. And you can get them closer to Earth, very close, like 500 kilometers. NBN is 36,000 kilometers, because it's very big. So we cannot get it close. So this is a huge revolution. So when you can actually launch something like that that costs $200,000, how many can you launch? And how many things you can achieve? It's incredible. This is a gigantic revolution. So my first 2 satellites, not my first 2 satellites. Okay, I've launched many satellites. But Fleet is launching their first satellites on SpaceX. That guy, Elon, smarty pants. So he's got a big rocket that comes back on Earth. It does these things. And this is an Indian launcher that is one of the most amazing launchers. So one is going to be launched in India, and one is going to launch in SpaceX in a few months. And the fact that these satellites are small doesn't mean they're easy. Still, they have to get on top of a rocket. So a lot of things, has to change. But this is what's happening in my lab. So we're launching 2 satellites in a little while. But why are we doing this? And I think you had some glimpse of this during the video. Okay, that video just show you it's totally Fleet handmade with drones. Huh? Okay, this has been some of our cases of experience with customers in the past year. I dedicate my life on IoT for industries. I'm passionate about changing industries. And I'm passionate about agri-tech as well. So what we do with these technologies, we aggregate data of thousands of kilometers. And this was Tasmania. This was a gigantic farm in Tasmania. There are gigantic farms in Australia as big as Belgium. That it freaks me out, half of Italy. It's really huge. I mean, there are people with farms that don't see their animals for months. So there is an inefficiency that we don't know exists in 2017. It's totally fascinating. It kind of works this way, okay? You got sensors scattered all over the place. So imagine you got sensors connected to animals, so weather stations, on the soil, on gates. So you can actually control these gigantic farms and get every data on your phone on an app. So no matter where you are, you know everywhere where your asset is. And I've hired a lot of people in the past year. They came and worked at Fleet and thought, oh, this is going to be really cool. We're going to go satellites. And most of the time, they're spending with the cow. The cow is a huge topic, okay? It's a huge, huge topic. We actually struggle to import, export food if we don't know where the food has been. So I know people that, just to give you an idea, they actually do need to measure every single mango inside the mango that travels in the supply chain from the farm to the supermarket, because we lose 70% of our mangoes. It makes no sense. So we need to measure things. There was another example that was a Great Barrier Reef. You saw it in the video. I went and visited, I'm Italian, so I came here 4 years ago. I didn't know the Great Barrier Reef. I went and visited the Great Barrier Reef in August with my family. I got 2 kids, 3 and 5. My life sucks. Okay, it's just, let's make it clear, I love her, okay? But we went there, and the Great Barrier Reef was just such an amazing place, okay? And I was there, we were a green island, beautiful island. And you actually see this coral bleaching. It's a big problem, isn't it? And you know, there are a lot of people working to make it safe, to make it improving. They actually found a way to get to the coral when it's bleaching, to save it. They've got a weaker window. So they created an app that you can actually take a photo, send it to the department so they can act, except there is no internet. So you're dead in the middle of nowhere, try to take photos, there is no 3G, you're like, who's gonna act on this? And it's just too late. It really got me crazy, and then we did this, and we start deploying all measuring sensors. The Great Barrier Reef is huge. They're all connected to the sky. And in this way, what you can actually do is measure where the water has got some issues, and this can be all over the world. You know, one of my clients has got 200,000 trees that he measured around the world with a pen and a caliper. And we are in 2018, and we wonder why we cannot save the world, because we don't know what's happening in the world. We cannot measure it. This is one of my favorites, because I'm Italian, right? So bear with me for a second. So wine, and we got a beautiful South Australian wine that, you know, it's one of our major gold, precious thing. Wine is a very delicate art that requires that the wine and the vines are a little bit stressed. You don't have to give them enough water or too much water. So it's a hell of a lot of work for everyone. So you actually can do these things from space, very, very low cost. Just measuring every single vine, how it actually takes water, and sending data on a little iPad, on a little app. Imagine how this could change, and is changing, the way people operate around the world. The problem is space was always expensive. So to connect, you know, one cow, historically, can cost you $1,000 a month. This is a bit expensive. So now it's like a few cents. So this is what's happening. It's amazing. But I love fleet, but as Patty, I love what's happening in South Australia and in Australia. You know, when I came to Australia, that was 4 years ago, I followed my husband, and he's from Adelaide. So I came here, and I got stuck here, and I was not happy. 4 years ago, I was not happy, because there was nothing. There was one space startup in the entire country. That's it. I couldn't find a job. And I worked on Mars missions, right? But I didn't give up, and I founded a company before this one, then a space accelerator, then this one. And it's been 3.5 years, and Australia's got 80+ space startups. It's the country with more space startups per capita in the entire globe. Can you believe what it means, changing an industry from scratch, when everyone believes that this can never happen in a country like Australia? It happened. And when all these companies that Paddy mentioned, like us, or Gilmore, or Newman, or Innovo, got funded, they announced a space agency. Guys, for a second, relax, breathe in. This is huge. And we're just scratching the surface, and we should be very proud. When now I go to the Valley and Silicon Valley, capital raise for my company, they're happy for us to be here. I don't know if you know how huge it is. But this is happening, and there is some magic when you actually arrive last. It's funny, but there is some magic. We, in this point in time, we got nothing to lose. We have something to gain, and we can leapfrog. Space is commercial now. It's done by kids like me, realistically, not by government. People like me and Patty, and way more people that can actually make a change in commercial space, and the agency is coming on board. I was lucky enough to be part of the experts reference group that helped the federal agency, and working with Megan Clark, and now she's the head of this. She's amazing, and they will nail it, because they're leapfrogging in commercial. It will bring jobs and so much impact that you don't even know. But there is one thing that I always want to make a point here, okay? It's about jobs, it's about what amazing things, it's about wine, it's about the Great Barrier Reef. But again, space is for inspiration and kids. I honestly have got 2 little kids, and they're crazy. They hate space by the time. Now they hate it. Like, that, Mom, that's it. Like, they got an example, but I know they don't hate it. And what is fascinating me is that my girls will have the chance, most probably, of their kids to go live in Mars, on Mars. They will have it, my great-grandkids. As we are so close, right? So I was with Katerina Target. There was we had to buy a present for Lucas, that is a friend of her from year 1. And you know, we were there, she's like, Mommy, just buy some, like, you know, this Lego thing for boys. And I'm like, okay, should we buy an helicopter? She's like, yeah, that's for boys. Should we buy a boat? And she's like, yeah, that's for boys, some pirates. And then I saw a spaceship. I'm like, let's buy a spaceship. And she said, oh, hell no, space is for girls. And that's what we want, okay? Thank you.
It's very good to hear that in the future we can just send our children to Mars. Thank you, Flavia. Now, I think we've already established that space is cool, and we're all in agreement about that. But how can you possibly make space even cooler? My next...